YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back today. The Jacksonville Jaguars record prediction going game by game, going best case scenario, worst case scenario. This is an interesting team for this year. A lot of new faces there, staff and the actual roster. Trevor Lawrence leading the way. It's an interesting team to predict, kind of back and forth on a lot of these games. They can be a sneaky good team. I still think some adjustments, growing pains to be had here, but a team of the future for sure. So we're going to break it all down here in a second. We got a playlist full of all these record predictions, a few more to go here. Follow our Twitter. You guys will vote for who wins the divisions and who makes the playoffs eventually. You guys will create a video of your own. I'll have my playoff predictions and more as well. Link in the description, comments for anything you need, including that Twitter. Please like, subscribe, be much appreciated. And again, here's that Twitter. Polls will be up, especially after this video. We'll have the AFC South poll going up, but we got NFL updates like crazy here. News, anything worth, reporting here. So check it out. Link down below. It's at Goathouse NFL. PlayoffPredictors.com is the website we're using for all of these videos. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty tough to predict some of these games, because I'm kind of on the fence about them. What isn't tough is I feel pretty good about their identity, what type of team they'll be. I definitely think they'll be an offensive team. I think they'll have some success offensively. I think they can be one of those teams that, the offense plays well enough and puts up enough points to win games, but they lose a chunk of those games. I think their defense could struggle a little bit this year. They got players that fit this defense. They got players that fit this defense. They don't have kind of a complete defense to fit both. So are they going to be a hybrid defense? I'd prefer them in a 3-4. I do like some of the additions. It's an interesting defense too because they don't really have glaring holes, but they have a lot of spots where they could probably get better or they can develop some of these players further along, which will take some time. So I do think they'll be an offensive team. Again, the defense is probably heading in the right direction, just not yet. So they're probably going to lose some shootouts, I would think. I've been saying in other videos, this is a team I don't want to play early on. This is a team you do not want to play, in my opinion. You don't want to play early on because of the game plan. There really isn't a game plan for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A Trevor Lawrence system, a new coaching staff, new players, Marvin Jones, Travis Etienne, these players. What type of offense, what type of plays are they going to be throwing at us? That's what teams are going to be saying. So it's extremely tough to game plan for them early on. You just don't know. You need a number of games worth of film to figure it out. Remember they won week 1 last year. I think something similar. They were kind of a small ball, quick team. And there was really no game plan for that. They won week 1, and then teams kind of figured them out. I don't think it's going to be that easy to figure them out this year because they're more talented, but it's something similar where they can sneak away with some games here. There's a lot that I'm probably changing my mind on here. I do think they'll beat the Texans week 1. We'll see if Deshaun Watson plays. That can change things. That'll probably make it an absolute shootout. The Broncos, Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are going to start off hot. I don't think they're, a playoff team. They could be sneaky, but I think they'll start off hot, and then teams will start to figure them out a little bit. They could beat the Broncos. I think they could have some success on offense against them, even though it's a good defense out there. But to beat the Jags, you better score enough points. Will the Broncos? They could pound the football, though, really, really control the game there. It's definitely one I'm back and forth on. Same with the Cardinals. Same with the Bengals. That's going to be this is probably one of the tougher teams to predict game by game here. I think they pull one of these off between the Broncos and the Cardinals. The Cardinals would be an absolute shootout. It seems like when the Cardinals their offense gets stopped, it feels like they're stopping themselves with a mistake or maybe a bad play call. So I don't know if the defense, I think it could be more along the lines of something like this. And I'm back and forth on this one. I could see the pass rush being the difference. I think Josh Allen, Clavon Chason, these guys, Roy Robertson Harris, they can actually be the difference in this game. Not that it's going to be a high-scoring game, but they can make that extra pressure, that extra play. So I think the Jags can start off pretty damn well here. I actually had them beat the Titans, too. I think they're going to split with the Titans. So you'd see a hot start, and maybe there's some hope there. But, again, this is a tough team to game plan against. Once you figure out the game plan, it's a young team, still talented. It's a young team that you could beat, that you're probably going to beat in a high-scoring game. So I do think the Dolphins kind of could create some turnovers in this game, and I do think Tua gets going at this part of the year. I think Seattle shootout here. I think Seattle wins. It's another shootout game. I'm taking the Bills in a shootout. I think the Colts. Yeah, this is right where Carson Wentz could start getting things going too. So I would take the Colts. Jags and 49ers. I do think the 49ers present something on defense that actually can slow down the Jaguars, and I do think they'll be able to score on them. Another shootout game, Falcons-Jags, that could go either way. Really depends on which Falcons defense shows up, because there was times last year where their defense actually looked pretty good. But I'll take the Jags in this one. Rams here, Jags here. Another one I can go either way. I ended up picking the Jets, but this is a back-and-forth game, just like these ones over here. These three right here, even the Titans game. Take the Patriots. I had the Colts beating them twice. Maybe Carson Wentz can get things going here, but could go right in that 7-win range. It's a very talented team, even though it's very young. Right in that range, 6-7 wins, even though they're starting off with 4 wins in 5 weeks, kind of getting everyone's hopes up there. But again, I could be wrong on that, but I feel pretty comfortable that saying that they will be a extremely tough team to game plan for early in the year, and that, along with their young talent and speed, could be the reason that they pull off some games early on. Kind of going best case, I mean, they really could get going early. I could see them starting 5-0. Maybe even Jaguars fans don't see it. Because of the problems they present, because not knowing, I could see them starting 4-1, 5-0, around that range. I think these are tough matchups here. They could win this one. Maybe Carson Wentz struggles a little bit. Had them winning here. It's a tough schedule, actually, now I'm looking at it. So I'm thinking best case is probably around 9. It's 9, what's on your screen right now. But again, keep in mind that, the league isn't like it was 5-10 years ago. I keep mentioning this, that where there was a lengthy adjustment period. Now, in terms of new players, young players, now these young players are just such instant impact, and new faces from free agents, they're such instant impact. There's no wait for the chemistry to develop. It's just pure athleticism. The pure talent just takes over instantly. So there's got to be an adjustment period, some growing pains, but maybe it's just not that much. So maybe they pull off 10 wins because of that, because again, they do have talent. They do definitely have talent. And they don't have too many holes. I do think the defense could struggle a little bit. I'm curious to see. I keep mentioning this. I hope they don't go with like a hybrid, the hybrid defense where they're just switching off 3-4, 4-3. It just never works unless you're a Bill Belichick Patriots team. It really never works. It would remind me of what Patricia did there with the Detroit Lions if they did that. Some of the personnel they have. If they went kind of back and forth, a little bit of hybrid looks there. And that's not good to me. That's not good. So I think you create your identity and continue to build off that. I do like the idea of these pass rushers. Clavon Chason was disappointing last year, but that was expected. He was a raw prospect, so I'm okay with that. Josh Allen, I think, is going to be a stud. Get quite a few corners out there. Especially adding Campbell in the mix there. They added Griffin, of course, in free agency. I like Andre Sisco for safety, but maybe there's going to be some growing pains there. Remember, he only played 2 games last year. Back to my prediction. Again, I'm kind of back with these the Broncos-Cardinals games here. I was kind of back and forth on between those games. I think they could win both. The Broncos could just pound the football and not let Trevor Lawrence, and they could have success and not have Trevor Lawrence have the ball for a ton of time. Therefore, they can't score those points. Or, again, I think it's going to be a high-powered offensive team. The Broncos, Vic Fangio, old-school type defense, they may not have a game plan for, a correct game plan for, where their good defense doesn't really matter. The Jags offense gets going, and then can Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater keep up in the passing game? So you kind of can argue both sides. Cardinals, Jags, this one's going to be a shootout. This game is going to be a shootout for sure. That's what it's going to be. And you would think maybe a little more of the veterans there with the Cardinals. At the same time, Cardinals' lack of running game, sometimes their offense was disappointing even in games where you expect them to score a lot of points. It was because they kind of shot themselves in the foot with a weird play or a terrible play call or series of play calls. Going 3 and out when they're not supposed to. So maybe you side with the safer shootout team there. So you can argue either way at a lot of these games. The Bengals and the Jags. I mean, the Bengals list of receivers, that the three-headed monster they got there with Joe Burrow could just be too much there and getting Joe Mixon going. But the lack of pass rush in the Bengals, gets Trevor Lawrence going. So a lot of these are back and forth games that I'm definitely could change my mind on, but it doesn't change that I have a pretty firm identity on this team. Again, I think there'll be a tough game plan early on. I do think there'll be a high-powered offense. There's going to be weeks where they look like rookies. They look like a young team, a new team, or maybe the offense doesn't get going. Those are going to pop up, but I do think the defense, I do think they can lose in some shootouts, some games where the offense played well enough, put enough points up to win those games. There's always a chunk of those teams every single year. You can go back last year. There was some of those teams. So, yeah, they're kind of in this range. I keep going back and forth with these teams here. The 6, 7, 8 range is where I feel comfortable. 6, 7, 8, yeah, around that range. So tough team to predict. I'm excited about this team. It seems like Titans, Colts battle, but that can change. I'd say by next year that the Jaguars could really shake that up and win the division as early as next year, perhaps. So I'm excited about this team for sure. But that is going to do it for this one. Again, that's done with the AFC South. You guys will vote for who wins the AFC South on our Twitter right after this video ends here. I'll be posting that. And you'll be voting along the way as well. A lot of NFL content here, so make sure you join us, subscribe, smash the like button, follow our Twitter. It's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.